I'm out walking here. It's a really nice morning for a walk. Really nice here. Uh, like the sun is just right. It's not too strong. It's really temperate, almost like a little bit cool. Not quite cool, like chilly, but obviously I have my shirt off. But just kind of like, real nice, really nice morning for a walk. Anyway, planning on a beach run probably today with a friend. But yeah, so a little update on the sunlight, but in the earthing thing, especially the grounding. So honestly, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I mean, even years ago, I would try to get my feet in the grass and stuff, or sand, and made a habit of that. But just always like doing that. But got really consistent with it, like doing it on a day in, day out base. Probably, I don't know, like 2-3 months ago at least. But I didn't really look into it a lot. I kind of like heard about it, like it was actually a thing, like grounding and whatever. I found out it's actually called earthing as well. And so just like decided to do kind of like a little bit of a dive into it, and found out there's not a lot of like actual clinical trials or studies done on it, but supposedly it's been shown to help with like wound healing and inflammation, of course, like relieve stress, boost immunity, and really has a lot of effects just from what they know and can track. But there's actually an ion exchange, like negative ions can get exchanged with the earth, and you kind of like discharge into the earth. So I did find out that the experts recommend, hey, what's up? Morning. The experts recommend like more like 20 to 30 minutes, like 30 minutes, or at least 20 to 30 minutes. Whereas I was just doing it for like, a few minutes maybe at a time, which I tend to think there's still some benefit to even just doing that. That's just my own, anecdotal kind of perspective, but they probably are onto something to say do it a little bit longer. So I've been trying to make a point since I learned that of doing it a little bit longer, and I'll actually sit down outside or lay in the grass or whatever, and of course I've been walking longer, because before I was walking like usually in 10-minute stints, which works pretty good, and if you're trying to lower your glucose and things like that, it's just been shown to lower, especially after eating, I'm saying. But and then on occasion I would walk 20 or 30 minutes, but not since last year did I walk really regularly for any more than 20 or 30 minutes regularly. And I was doing like 30-40 minutes last year pretty regularly when I was really working on getting lean, and sometimes upwards of 50. But now I've been walking for this week pretty much every day. I've been trying to do two at least 40-minute walks at a time. So somebody put me onto that, and I don't know a lot about it, but was just saying that the effect of going 40 to 60 minutes is where a lot of the magic, I don't want to call it magic, but the amazing stuff that happens metabolism wise in various ways. And I probably will look into that myself as well at some point, but I think he probably knows what he's talking about, this particular guy. But yeah, and you do feel it, like this morning I'm doing fasted cardio, made my breakfast mostly, and head out, and actually getting a later start than I would have, because I was dealing with some business, kind of business type things. Yeah, like you do start to feel it, especially if you're fasted. I would notice anytime like after like between 20 and 30 minutes, it used to start to feel differently. Now I don't notice it as much. I pretty much at all, honestly. But I used to notice, around 20 to 30 minutes if you're fasted. But I also don't walk as fast as I used to either. I've slowed it down a little bit by choice. I guess it's just not necessary to walk that fast. But I can sustain at like 4 miles an hour, for large lengths of time. I find if I go higher than that to like 4.5, I can do it, and it's really fast to walk if you ever tried to walk that fast. But mind the leaf blower here. Yeah, it's really hard to sustain walking any length of time. You might be able to do it for 5 or 10 minutes, but your shins and your tibialis and your tibialis will just light up, like, it'll be really burning, like, and once it gets to that point, you can push it, but most people are only going to push it so much, into that. Every minutes seem like a lot longer when your calves are lighting up, right? So I've slowed it down a little bit and tried to walk longer, more consistently. So anyway, on to what we were talking about with the earthing. So yes, I've been trying to do it for longer periods of time, like, at least 20, 30 minutes. And what I found helps is just eating your meals, nowadays outside at this time of year. Eating meals outside can help, just take your shoes off and sit down on something on the ground, elevated, or something where you have your feet on the ground at least. And the other thing I found out is that pavement or tarmac is supposedly not effectual for it. Concrete, some say concrete is okay, but I think the ideal, and across all opinions, is grass or dirt or sand or mud, even, if you want. Which I thought was funny. I was like, when am I going to walk in the mud? And then I was on the beach yesterday, and it was kind of muddy. Where I was at, it's kind of like an inlet. I don't know if it's a bay or what. It's kind of like a ocean inlet type thing, and it was pretty muddy. But I didn't walk all the time in that, but it was okay. You can walk in the water a little bit, and so it's a lot easier to do this time of year enjoyably than they have, in the winter. Because some people do go outside barefooted in the winter, even. Like I was seeing some Quoras and some stuff of people that kind of go barefoot all the time. Which I don't think I'm going to that point, but I do find benefits of, kind of like grounding or earthing as a practice. And then, just like I was saying in the other video, it just kind of makes sense. A lot of this stuff is almost like intuitively, you know what I mean? Like, get daylight in your eyes, get your feet on the ground. And I did notice a difference, and I think I said that in the other video too. Like, you do notice a difference with grass. And some people are more sensitive to it or notice it more than others, but you will notice a difference with grass than, like, concrete or certainly tarmac or pavement. But I'm glad I found that out, because I was doing it a lot on the pavement just because of where it was in position to the sun and getting daylight and everything at the same time. But anyway, yeah, let me show you this right here. Beautiful neighborhoods back here I like to walk in. Not a lot of traffic. There's no sidewalks, but I almost prefer it without the sidewalks. Sometimes sidewalks kind of take away from the experience, and especially if going up and down a lot, if they're not gradual. It's just very pleasant like this. And yeah, so even like walking in nature, I guess, can do it. The kids I found out recently, it's more meaningful to them than I thought. Like, they really enjoy being out in creation or nature, which is pretty cool, and that's pretty easy, and that really works with going for walks and hikes and stuff. And there's some trails around and stuff like that. we had a good time at the park on Sunday. It's kind of a pretty huge park actually. But yeah, that's easy to do. That doesn't cost a lot, you know. It doesn't. You know, I'm always trying to like bring them places and stuff, and thinking of where to go and different like fun things to do, you know. And come to find out, they just like, you know, they just like and value the most like being in nature. Like my son is 9, and I guess his teacher had set up in a class like different stations to go stand at, and like one was for Six Flags, and one was for like a water park, and then one was for like this place we call known as Lincoln Woods, which is like a kind of like an outdoor. There's a pond and like a lot of grassy areas and stuff like that. And we had just went there like I think the day before that, and so he went and stood in the Lincoln Woods like, and there was one other I forget what it was, but he went and stood in the Lincoln Woods spot, and he was like, nature. He was telling the kids like, you know, and I was like, so that kind of, I was glad he told me that story because it made me realize. And I talked to him, I said, oh, you really like that a lot, huh? And this cool basketball coop over there. You really like that, huh? Like, it's really, I didn't know that was so like meaningful to you, which is really cool. So I was already planning on taking them some places this summer, but that's a different that's a different kind of plan of action, you know, than like I was planning on taking them to the beach a lot and stuff, which you know, we can of course do that, but like as far as trying to take them to, and they enjoy that too, and I asked his brother, who I see too at the same time usually, and he was the same way. He really likes and enjoys that. So I've actually started encouraging them to take their shoes off and get their feet in the grass, you know, and prospectively in the sand and so on. You know, so yeah, anyway, I won't ramble on for too much longer than I have. But yeah, I'm about at this point here. This is like 30 minutes if I walk to here, like there and back. So I'm gonna go a little bit further. I found if I walk a little further that way, I can still, because it kind of is like a cul-de-sac. It turns around at a certain point, but it's pretty much adds up to about 40 minutes at a decent gait or pace. You can see my pace is just about like that. So, and I saw a snake. Was that yesterday? I don't know if it's yesterday or the day previous. But there was a huge black snake over here. There's a little body of water there. I don't know if it's storm runoff or what, or if it's a pond. But there was this huge black snake, and like it kind of startled me because I kind of wasn't paying attention when I was walking. Like I was on the phone, and you just heard this rustling, like, and it was probably like a good 3 inches. Yeah, I would say a good 3 inches in the fat parts, and probably like a good 3 feet long. I think it was just like a water snake or something, but it still freaked me out. I don't know, for me, it freaks me out. Like you hear this rustling, and then you look, and then you see that swerving thing, you know. And I was just like, ooh, just like, you know, it's like one thing if it startles you, and then you look and it's a bird or something, or a chipmunk, and it's like, you know, it doesn't bother you. But so then my next response was to try to get video of it. Maybe I'll post it. I go find the video, and I tried to make it move so I could get the video of it moving, but. Anyway, some places I know in the country, depending on where you're watching this from, be like, oh, big deal, you saw a snake, you know. But around here, you know, it's you don't spot them that often. And I've seen like little ones, like most of the time smushed on the side of the road, like when I'm walking. But anyway, yeah, I'll wrap the video up there.